Hey Lauren, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good.
Good. First of all, I loved this film. I
Thank
was
you.
telling James I was so excited seeing you with the chainsaw. That was easily one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And clearly, you are a seasoned actor with stunt choreography and fight choreography, Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down, even a little bit of Zeke in the Faculty, which is one of the best movies of all time.
Thanks.
So I'm curious, what was your most challenging fight scene to master for this film?
All of them. I was 45 when we shot this. Like the movies you're talking about, I was like a fetus. I was a tiny person. I could bounce back really quickly. Being 45, it's a different story. You get hit, you feel it, and you feel it the next day. I wanted it to be like, I wanted to be involved in all of it. I wanted to do all my own stunts. That was the conceit of the film. But when it came down to it on the day, there were days that were like, I was barely getting by, and it shows. You know, the degradation of the character over the course of the movie is real because we shot it in 25 days. We shot it really, really quickly, so there was no time to recover. We just had to keep going, um, and and that kind of added to the fun as well. It was like we had this very, very limited amount of time, and we had to just see if we could make the movie as quickly as possible. We had a very unique tone to make it as funny as we possibly could, and also make it as action-packed and uniquely action-packed as possible. It wasn't easy to do, but we're very, very happy with the result.
Yeah, no, it was very funny. I enjoyed
Thank you.
Lucas getting bloodied up every 10 minutes, cleaning himself up. I don't think I ever thought I was going to see someone fight in pajamas before, but I loved it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I also loved the toad venom scene and
Thank you.
how electric you were in that sequence. What was the inspiration for the toad venom?
Well, the inspiration was that we wanted him to be on the back foot as much as possible in the film. And you know, when you get deep into action films, you know that the main character is going to win. You know, like you've seen it 1,000 times. So we had to find new ways of making him seem like unreliable and like he was going to lose and that he might lose. And my favorite action films were, especially for this, are like from the 90s where you see like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, where you've got him constantly getting beat up and like he loses his shoes, he's got glass in his feet, he becomes less and less strong seeming throughout the film, and yet he still perseveres. And then like Indiana Jones is another one. When and you don't think of that as an action film, but when Harrison Ford gets hit, you feel it. And we wanted that aspect of that in this film as well. And then we wanted it to be as funny as possible. That was the main goal. So like things like Toad Venom lend themselves to humor.
I definitely felt it.
Good.
I have to say that Verity is my most anticipated film for next year. It's my
Good.
favorite Colleen Hoover novel. I'm sure you can't say too much, but when I learned that you were cast as Jeremy, I screamed because I thought it was perfect.
Oh,
So,
thank
what
you.
did you just love about working with Anne and Dakota for that film, and what can us book fans expect?
Well, I mean, so I know I've met Anne quite a few times over the years and always wanted to work with her, and she said she always wanted to work with me. And so when this came along and there was a chance that we could do it together, and she was producing it, so she had the ultimate choice along with Michael Showalter. They decided to cast me, and I thought that was it was just an awesome opportunity to work with her and Michael. And then I didn't know Dakota at all, but she's excellent in the role, and she's a really nice person, and I feel like the whole thing came together magically, like really good cast. And I don't think people know what to expect from it, and I like that because it's a little bit, it's way different than the other Colleen Hoover books. It's sexy, it's mysterious, and it's a little bit gothic and a little bit scary, and it's wild. And I think it's gonna be surprising for audiences.
I cannot wait. That just made me so much more excited.
Good.
Josh, it was so much fun to chat with you, and I truly cannot wait for your fans and audiences to see Fight or Flight in theaters. It was honestly so much fun. Chainsaw sequence. I never thought I would see someone fight with a chainsaw on an airplane, and you gave that to me. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for plugging in. Yeah, take care. See you later. Bye.
You look stunning. How are you?
Thank you. You too. Good
Yes, I
morning.
have to say, you are my dad's favorite sci-fi actor. And when I told him I was chatting with you today, he was like so freaked out. So I'm so excited to chat with you. And honestly, I can't wait for him to see this movie because your character, Catherine, has so much confidence and swagger. I'm honestly just curious what you learned about yourself as an actor while after playing, someone like Catherine, because she was just incredible.
Yeah, first of all, I'll tell your dad I said hi. I think that for myself, anytime I've played someone so contained, although I don't know if I've played someone so contained, um, uh, there's a whole set of challenges that come into play when you are portraying a character that gives nothing away. At all times, because everything is going on in her head and everything is operating at such a high level with such high stakes. I feel like she's on her own adrenaline ride in her own mind the entire time Lucas is on that plane.
I loved her hairstyle too, by the way. You were like
Thank
crushed
you.
it with that hairstyle.
Thank you. It's I love how she leans into this masculine energy. And she is no nonsense, and she gets what she wants when she wants it. People don't say no, and when they do, it's a problem. It's very ballsy.
Yes. Well, I have kind of a nerdy question for you. I'm curious if Catherine, Starbuck, and Bo Katan were all in the same room together. Do you think that those three characters would get along? Would they become friends? Would someone annoy one another more than the other?
Oh my God. I think they would all annoy the shit out of each other, to be honest. They're all so different, yet so similar. Starbuck would probably drive the other two crazy because she's not controlled at all. She is fly by the seat of your pants nuts. But she's a very good follower, not a great leader. Bo-Katan is a great leader, incredibly controlled. Catherine, I think, is just an asshole. And she's probably the loosest cannon of them all because she's unpredictable. She doesn't want to deal with anybody that isn't serving her the right way. So she might just kill both of them. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, like you said, I love how your character here, Catherine, is kind of more, controlled. Everything is in her mind. But you have had so much incredible fight choreography and stunt choreography, and we see a lot of that in the film here. I am curious for you in your career as an actor, what has been the hardest stunt choreography to master for you?
Oh my gosh. I would 100% say the Darksaber fight with Giancarlo Esposito. That was really hard. And luckily on Mandalorian, we have phenomenal stunt coordinators, and I have phenomenal stunt doubles as well. But I love fight choreography. Watching Josh in this movie and having the knowledge that he did everything himself, I think will allow audiences to. There's no cuts. He's doing everything. He's so competent at this, and he worked so hard, and I know how difficult that is. And it just, kudos to him, but also he and James. James gave him the freedom to be able to do that, which takes guts, and a lot of directors wouldn't do that because we're moving too quickly. There's too much at stake. We don't have enough budget and enough time. And he trusted in Josh when Josh said that he could do it. And that's why this movie works.
Oh, for sure. Josh absolutely killed it. And that saber fight scene with Giancarlo Esposito is one of your best scenes ever. I would chat
Thank
with you
you.
all day, but it was so fun to talk with you. And I'm so excited for audiences and your fans to see Fight or Flight. It was like truly one of the best films I've seen so far this year.
I love that.
Action.
Awesome. Awesome. Great.
Thank you, Katee.
Bye. Have a good one.
So nice to
thank
chat
you.
with you again. Like the last time we spoke was briefly virtually for Bridgerton season 2. So to see you go from Bridgerton to Fight or Flight, I was telling James that this was amazing and I loved the film. So congratulations to you first of
Thank
all.
you. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes, of course. One of my favorite scenes is when your character Isha throws the chainsaw to Josh's character Lucas. You had so much hand-to-hand fight choreography in this film. How did you prepare for that and train for that? And what was the most challenging scene for you to film, I guess?
Well, I think that in preparation, it's just meeting with the stunt team, them kind of assessing what I felt comfortable with, what I was capable of, and just like much like with the dance, practicing the choreography. And then once you get one element down, oh, sorry, sorry.
No, you're
Once you
fine.
get one element down, you focus on getting the other elements in place. And I think that that's, I guess it's just like building on what you're comfortable with until you feel really confident. So then you can focus on performance and finesse.
I loved that this film ends on a cliffhanger. I was not expecting that. Would be excited for a sequel, and I was telling James I would love to see, Isha and Lucas on a cruise ship and do this on a cruise
Yeah.
ship or something like that.
Yeah.
He's talked with you about any sequel ideas, but would you come back for a potential sequel?
Well, great minds think alike, Lauren, because I know on set, like the cast, we would always joke that the sequel would be on a boat called Sink or Swim. And yes, 100%.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'd like very much be up for doing a sequel. And it just like, if the stars align, again, it's like been such a privilege to be a part of this project. And so, who knows? Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Well, yeah, well, like I said, when I spoke with you and Simone and Jonathan a few years ago was for Bridgerton season 2. Obviously, I'm a huge romance girly, and that fandom has such a hardcore fan base. They're very, very passionate.
Yeah.
Now that you've kind of had some time to reflect and look back on playing Edwina, what is something that you learned about yourself as an actor in Bridgerton that you kind of carried on with you for the rest of your career?
Oh my goodness. So many things. I think that Edwina was the second professional role that I had in adulthood. And like what I learned was no matter how much you try to compartmentalize and set boundaries between yourself and your character, there's like an inevitable amount that you like absorb of what your character's going through in the production, in the project. And I think that that's something that I'm trying to learn to set like stronger boundaries. I really took on Edwina's emotions even when I wasn't filming, and I like lived with that through the entire months. And similarly with Isha, I think especially because of all the crazy stuff that happens in this film, it's like really important to be able to have a ritual to switch off and like step out of the character and be yourself again.
Yes, Isha is a very secretive type of character. So
and suspicious. Yeah. And so it's so great to play that character because I'm not like that in real life. But it was also important to be able to leave that when I step off set.
I would chat with you all day, but I'm so excited for your fans and audiences to see Fight or Flight. Truly one of the best action films and films I've seen so far this year, and I've seen a lot. So congratulations to you. Everyone needs to see it in the theater.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Thanks.
First of all, congratulations to you on this film. Thank you so much for giving me a film with Josh Hartnett battling to death with a chainsaw. I died over that scene. That was amazing, where Charithra tosses him the chainsaw and he just starts going crazy.
Oh yeah.
There was literally every 10 minutes, Lucas is getting bloodied up again and fighting for his life. I personally loved the chainsaw scene, but I'm curious, what was the most challenging fight scene for you to film, since there's so many one shots in this movie?
Yeah. I guess the easy answer is all of them. Anytime that you're doing like a lot of rigs, like the 0G scene, people are always trying to cut that, and the chainsaw one with the blood rigs, I was kind of like, it's like Crazy 88s from Kill Bill, and people are like, but we can't use blood rigs in the plane, and I was like, well, we're going to. How are we not going to use blood rings? And we did, and it was fine. But that was challenging. Anytime it's into something technical, and usually the oneers would be hard. But I mean, my God, Josh was he's so athletic. And he worked so hard, that we were able to shoot him that way. To be able to get those, it really comes down to how hard the person doing it is working on it. And it was just an absolute godsend. And just real quick, I want to say I grew up in Baltimore, so WBAL is very dear to my heart. So I just want to put that.
Oh my God, amazing! Were you born in Maryland too?
Yeah. I grew up in West Baltimore.
Oh my God.
I mean, we moved around, but like Westgate, and I went to school at Mount St. Joe, and
Cool.
around Irvington and Ed Heights. So yeah, it's
amazing. Thank you for giving Baltimore a shout out. I was born and raised in Southern Maryland, so I'm a Maryland girl too.
Right. It's very dear to my heart for sure. Yeah.
I'm so glad. So WBAL will be so happy.
Yeah,
I have an idea for a sequel.
Oh, great.
It does kind of get on the hanger there. What if we were to take them on like a luxury cruise ship or something?
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas for a potential sequel? Is that something that you are hoping for with the
yeah.
Or,
yeah,
okay.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Everybody's game. Huey, who plays Garrett, the sort of like the leader of they all had like a lot of downtime while Josh would be like endlessly fighting. And he came up with a sequel called Sink or Swim.
I was literally about to be like cruise or lose. Like I
don't. and the whole thing is like they're on a cruise ship, and like Royce is in charge, and Charithra and Josh float by on a raft, and it turns out that it's all like arms dealers on the. They had a whole scenario that is absolutely hilarious, and we were like, okay, number 2 on a boat, kind of like how Speed 2 was on a boat, which didn't work out that well for them. So we were like, not sure. But hey, I'm game. We'll see what happens.
I'm curious how your previous films where you've worked on as, assistant director, unit directors with Transformers, like how those action films kind of inspired, and what if there's a particular like director that you took, more notes from than others to kind of apply it to your feature film here.
Yeah, I mean, I've got really eclectic tastes, and they're kind of all over the place. But there's Tarantino and Spielberg and Monty Python, which could not be more diametrically opposed. But I would say that there's a lot of that. And humor's important, and a sense of wonder is important, and there's probably less Spielberg than anything in this. It leans more towards Tarantino, but Pulp Fiction really kind of changed my life. But also, like when it comes down to these technical aspects of it, there's no way to really get a sense of how difficult they are or the details of how they work without experience. There just isn't. And I've just had to do a lot of that in very high pressure situations, with the sun setting, and are we going to get our day, and with cars, with blood rigs, with wire work, with prosthetics, with all sorts of things. And you just can't know all the different sort of advantages and pitfalls to them unless you've done it. So it's an easy way of saying, all of it really adds up to being able to look at this and say, okay, we've only got a few hours to do this. So the dream is this, but I can do this instead, and it'll still have the effect I need, and we get it in the movie, so. Yeah. It's just all the experience over the years really, really helped inform it.
This is very Tarantino inspired with the splatter, which I absolutely loved. Well, last quick question for you. Obviously, Katee's character, Catherine, is on the phone talking to Josh's character, Lucas. Are they actually kind of talking to each other? Because like Kate, they don't have, any scenes together. But I'm curious if is Josh actually listening to her voice? I
would love to say yes. We had to shoot this in a very sort of compartmentalized, it was a kind of a tight schedule. And right. Katee came in, I want to say week 2, and we just banged out all her scenes in one go. And so she did the phone call, and then we did Josh's side of the phone call weeks later. and he was kind of like, well, what if I said this? And it's like, well, Katee already said that, you know, because Josh has always ideas, and they're always really good, but there was certain, we couldn't shoot them together. It's just how movie making works. But he came on set while we were doing Katee stuff. It was like his one day off, and then he came and like it was like, what's going on?
Hey.
And also, he was just such a sort of a father figure to the cast. He was such a leader that, he really took this responsibility on. Like it was like his movie, and it was really great. Like he gave he was so supportive of everybody else all the time. So he came around and sort of, was like moral support while we were doing all the war room stuff and the airport with them. So yeah.
That's so cool. Well, it was done seamlessly, and I loved the film. Truly so fun. I love that Charithra went from Bridgerton to this, which is amazing.
She had just finished it. She had just finished Bridgerton.
Yeah, because I had chatted with her briefly for season 2, so I love seeing her in this. Thank you so much for the extra time and the Baltimore shout out. I truly loved the film, and I cannot wait for audiences to see Fight or Flight. I want a sequel on a cruise ship or anywhere. You can pick wherever you want.
If WBAL wants more time, I'll come down there and say hi. Let me know. Just let me know.
Great. Thank you so much, James. You were